For nearly 3 decades, Bill Burr has built his reputation on saying exactly what he thinks to anyone at any time. While others calculate the career implications of every word they say, Burr simply doesn't care who's listening, and this is what makes him so entertaining. Whether it's an angry heckler, a famous podcaster, or even the richest man on the planet, he rips into them all the same, and somehow he always comes out on top. But what makes Burr different isn't just that he speaks his mind, it's how he cuts through bullshit without hesitation. Perhaps it has to do with his blue-collar upbringing or the fact that he's far more educated than he lets on, but he has a way with words other comics don't seem to possess. He calls out hypocrisy, knocks people off their high horses, and refuses to play along with social niceties. When Burr confronts someone, he doesn't just disagree with what they're saying, he challenges why they're even saying it, often leaving them speechless, awkwardly laughing, or sometimes genuinely shaken up. Today, we're going to take a look at some of Burr's most notable victims, starting with his most recent, Elon Musk. In the last few years, Musk has become an increasingly divisive figure. After acquiring Twitter and rebranding it as X, he sacked 80% of his staff, unbanned various controversial accounts, and stirred up debates with his shifting political views. More and more often, his ego has been taking center stage, from something as silly as lying about being one of the best Path of Exile 2 players in the world, to suspending the Twitter accounts of anyone who challenges his views. I covered this in depth in a recent video of mine, but it's safe to say that Elon has become an extremely problematic guy, so I suppose it was only a matter of time before Burr called him out.
How about the fact that the Twitter guy he's not even from here. He's from South Africa. He comes to this country and wants to turn it into a fucking dictatorship. He doesn't feel that we deserve democracy. Can you just imagine doing that? Going to another country and just deciding, yeah, you know what? I'm going to change this form of government because I've decided. Yeah, he doesn't mind living under a dictatorship as long as he's on the good side of it. Fucking laminated face cunt.
The incident that really set things off happened at a Trump rally shortly after the inauguration, where Musk made a gesture many interpreted as a Nazi salute. The clip immediately went viral, with endless debate about whether it was actually a Nazi salute or it was just being misinterpreted. On an episode of his podcast, Burr had his say, and he laid into Musk.
And look at that guy, with his Turkish hair plugs and his laminated face, and now he's out here Sieg Heiling. I mean, that guy is off his fucking rocker. All of these movies along the fucking way, The Greatest Generation, D-Day, all of those lives that were sacrificed so that people could live free. And this fucking nerd, because he couldn't get any pussy in high school, is now identifying with Hitler. Why would he be a Nazi? Like, what does he feel he's not getting as a white man? I mean, it's like you're a fucking billion. You got more money than anybody. You're still upset? Like, how do you have the bandwidth with the amount of fun you're shooting rockets off and all of this stuff? You still have the bandwidth to fucking to be like not liking people because they don't look like you? Is that what it is? I mean, to be honest with you, nobody looks like Elon Musk. That's what scared me about that guy. Hey, Elon Musk, if you don't mind, we'd like to enjoy our life. I don't think we need to reboot Adolf or you fucking lunatic. I'm sorry pretty girls don't like you until you have $1 billion.
Burr clearly wasn't impressed, and you can't blame him. A guy in Elon's position doing something like that is just reckless. Even if it wasn't intended as a Nazi salute, when you're one of the most visible people on the planet, you have a responsibility to consider how your actions might be perceived. What's interesting is how alone Burr seemed to be in this criticism. Comedians are supposed to be the ones who call out the rich and powerful and say what others are afraid to. Yet when it came to Musk, most of the comedy world went silent. In fact, some prominent comedians like Joe Rogan took Elon's side, mocking and dismissing the controversy altogether.
What is it like to buy a company for $44 billion and then people call you a Nazi on that same thing that you bought?
I did not see it coming. It's classic. People will go say anything down.
Yeah. Oh, he's never going to stop.
Wait, what?
What is it like? Like all this, people used to, the left was in love with you.
Yeah.
And now the same idiots are calling you a Nazi. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life.
Rogan and Burr's view on this couldn't be further apart. What seemed to frustrate Burr the most wasn't just Elon's gesture, but the lack of consequences that followed it. On his podcast, he expressed genuine disbelief at how quickly something he deemed so serious had been brushed under the carpet.
He's gonna burn this whole thing down. I think he just lost his job. Oh, wait a minute. Nothing happened. I cannot believe nothing happened. Nothing happened. How do you explain that away? I got to be honest with you. The fact that he did that and everyone isn't fucking outraged is just, is beyond me.
You can tell Bill isn't a fan of Elon's, and it goes far beyond the alleged Nazi salute. Burr considers Musk to be part of a much larger problem in America, surrounding wealth, power, and accountability. He recently spoke broadly about billionaires and their influence over everyday life, and he didn't have anything nice to say.
The amount of people that are struggling out there because of these fucking billionaires, and they got us all arguing liberal and conservative. We got to stop doing that. Like, I am so tired of hearing about people going to bed worried about what's going to happen next week. There is so much fucking money in this country, and there's so much work being done, you know. And if you work a full fucking week at a job, you should be able to pay your fucking rent. You shouldn't have to go out and get another fucking job and still be struggling. It's bad for the country. It's so fucking, these fucking billionaires, they need to be put down. You know, like fucking rabid dogs. They're like rabid with fucking greed and just going out and just dividing everybody.
Soon after these comments made their way around social media, Burr came out saying his Twitter account had been flagged for inappropriate content. Given the insane amount of time Elon spends on Twitter every day, you can bet he caught wind of the things Burr had been saying about him, and this was probably his way of getting revenge. He's been using Twitter as a weapon ever since he took over, so this wouldn't be anything new. The irony is, he cosplays as an advocate for free speech all the time, whether that be through his tweets or during sit-down interviews.
You know, and have like a sense of humor, you know? So, I mean, the sort of the left wanted to make comedy illegal, you know? Yeah. Like, you can't make fun of anything. So then it's like, comedy sucks. It's like, nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like, legalize comedy. Yeah. Legalize comedy.
The funny thing is, he did this interview just days before Burr's Twitter account got flagged. It seems he's all for free speech and comedy, just so long as it's not directed towards him.
I'll tell you what's funny. I made fun of the fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heiling not once but twice, and I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for it. What a fucking baby.
One thing you can trust Burr to do is apply the same unfiltered approach to everyone, whether he knows them or not. This might explain why Burr hasn't appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast since 2020. Given Rogan's friendly relationship with Musk and Burr's tendency to speak his mind, an appearance on JRE could quickly become uncomfortable for everyone involved, especially since Burr and Rogan have had differences of opinion in the past. Throughout the pandemic, Rogan's podcast became a lightning rod for controversy. His platform, with its audience of millions, became a home for COVID skepticism. He questioned mask mandates, gave airtime to vaccine skeptics, and promoted alternative treatments like ivermectin, positions that earned him praise from certain circles and criticism from many others. In June 2020, when COVID was still relatively new and the world was grappling with lockdowns, Burr appeared on Rogan's show. Rogan, who had become increasingly vocal about his distaste for masks, tried to pull Burr into a debate. When he suggested people shouldn't have to wear masks outside, Burr immediately shut him down.
Do you want people to walk down the street with a mask on?
Let's not start this, Joe.
Do you, though?
Let's not start this. Okay.
Let's start it.
I don't want to start this bullshit. I'm not going to sit here with no medical degree, listening to you with no medical degree, with an American flag behind you, smoking a cigar, acting like we know what's up better than the CDC. I just love how wearing a mask became like this fucking like soft thing that you were doing, like being courteous.
Bitches.
Being courteous. Why is this for bitches? That was so
You're wearing a
stupid.
mask. First of all, it's
Oh,
not-
God, you're so tough with your fucking open nose and throat. Gee, Joe, and your 5 o'clock shadow. This is a man right here. A man doesn't wear a mask.
What makes this exchange stand out is that Rogan isn't often met with this kind of blunt pushback. On his podcast, he typically leads the conversation, and most guests choose to engage with him in a more agreeable way. But Burr, as always, just says it how it is, and Rogan is far from the only comedian who's been on the receiving end of that. Imagine leaving your house with your front door wide open. That's what browsing the internet without a VPN is like. Your personal data is exposed to hackers, advertisers, and even your internet provider. That's why I use private internet access. It encrypts my connection, hides my IP, and makes sure my data stays private, whether I'm at home or on public Wi-Fi. But here's the real game changer. Private internet access lets you access geo-restricted content. Ever tried watching a show only to be told it's not available in your country? With private internet access, you can switch your location to over 91 countries and unlock content from Netflix, Disney Plus, and more, so you'll never have to deal with frustrating region blocks. And unlike other VPNs, private internet access never tracks or stores what you do online. Your browsing history, gone. Your personal data, untouchable. It's been proven in courts, so you know your privacy is actually protected. It's also one of the fastest VPNs out there, so you can stream in HD with no buffering, even when connected to distant servers. One subscription covers unlimited devices, so you can protect your phone, laptop, tablet, even your smart TV all at once. With over 30 million downloads and top ratings, private internet access is a VPN you can actually trust. Right now, you can get 83% off plus 4 extra months free, which works out as only $2.03 a month. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so signing up is completely risk-free. Click the link in the description or pinned comment to get started with private internet access today. The path to comedy success has transformed dramatically in recent years. While Burr came up through the traditional route, years of grinding in clubs, earning respect from fellow comedians, and slowly building an audience, newer comics like Theo have found success through entirely different channels. Theo rose to prominence primarily through podcasting and viral clips, building a dedicated audience through his unique storytelling style that blends his southern charm with hilarious anecdotes. His approach to comedy didn't develop in smoke-filled clubs like Burr's, but in long-form conversations and social media snippets. When Burr appeared on Theo's podcast in 2019, these different paths to success created a noticeable tension. Theo, who openly admired Burr, tried different ways to connect, from sharing personal struggles about tour burnout to asking funny questions out of left field. But despite his best efforts, he and Burr just didn't seem to be on the same wavelength.
I was just like experiencing like a ton of stress, man, burnt out. You know, I've been on the same tour for this hour for almost over a year now.
Dude, bands tour for like 4 years and then fucking go right back in the studio, make another one, and keep going. You gotta toughen up, man.
Yeah, you're right, huh?
You know?
What do I
Your
do, you think?
camouflage hat, looking like a fucking backwoods guy, all tough and shit. You can't handle doing your hour again? I mean, come on, man. Suck it up.
This was just 2 minutes into an hour-and-a-half long podcast, and Burr had started how he meant to go on.
I just think I have a tough time working with other people sometimes, you know?
Well, I would say get over that.
Yeah.
Get over yourself and get over that, because there's a lot of great people in this business and you're going to miss out. And I don't know.
No,
you know what?
I
You'll
totally
say
respect that.
your loved ones will save money on the funeral costs because no one's going to go. So there's not going to be too many fucking snacks they got to put together.
At this point, it was dawning on Theo that the podcast wasn't off to a good start. It was just 13 minutes in, and Burr had already taken multiple digs at him, and it appeared to be more than just harmless ball busting.
Remember that on Mary Tyler Moore's show? She'd have a rough day and she'd come in. And
I don't remember the whole show.
I can explain it to you.
Yeah.
If I can explain it to
Okay,
you.
good.
This fucking guy just I don't know what that is. All right.
No, I believe it.
I don't know. And the second I started to explain, like, I don't know the whole show. All right, I get it.
I believe
That's that comic ADD. Like, I don't want to fucking, I'm not into it. I don't want to hear it. I got it. Your show. Go ahead. Continue.
I remember, all right, let's talk about old shows then.
We don't have to. It was so funny how you bailed twice on that. You made
Patty Duke, what about
You made me
that?
feel like an asshole, like that was the 15th time I fucking brought it up.
They just weren't getting along. Theo was being his usual quirky self, but Burr seemed to interpret this as him being unprepared or deliberately strange.
Do you keep a weapon on yours or no?
On what?
In your, I don't know if you have a helicopter, if you rent a
Do I
helicopter.
really have to answer that? He knows goddamn well I don't have a weapon. Why are you doing this?
You don't? You don't have a gun? I don't think that's obtuse really to think you might have a weapon in there with you. Think about it.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay, all right.
You think about it.
All right, man. Just a small gun, dude. Just a handpiece.
Yeah, no.
What made the podcast particularly uncomfortable was that you could tell Theo genuinely respected Burr and wanted the interview to go well. With each awkward exchange, Theo appeared more and more deflated, trying different approaches only to be met with dismissal or confusion from Burr, and by the end, he looked completely defeated.
What about the nice guys? Oh, you got to see that.
Okay.
You got to see that one. That's a funny one.
I'll watch the nice guys.
No, I don't know. I think you're looking down. You got your
No, I will
jaw
watch
out.
it.
You got your jaw out. It's very
No.
confrontation. I'm feeling like you're not liking my suggestions. You just like you like the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This guy's dead to me.
This was like watching two guys having to hang out because their wives are friends. This is like watching a golden retriever and an old cat trying to get along. A few days after the podcast was released, Theo posted a video reflecting on their conversation.
You know, I felt sometimes like I didn't know what to say. And I don't know if that's the best place to be. Sometimes you're supposed to be interviewing somebody or having a conversation with them. But I'm not like, I wasn't disappointed in myself or anything like that. I think we're two different types of people. In hindsight, it was exactly what I should have expected. He's Bill Burr. There's a reason that I think he's the best.
Burr's unfiltered and combative style isn't just a generational difference, it's what made him legendary. Nothing proves that more than the night he went up against a hostile Philadelphia crowd in 2006. Back then, radio was still king for comedy promotion, and the Opie and Anthony show was Burr's home base. He'd been a regular guest since the early 2000s, part of a rotating cast of comedians including Patrice O'Neal, Jim Norton, and Colin Quinn, who thrived in the show's brutally honest style. For Burr, these radio appearances weren't just promotion, they were a comedy boot camp where he honed his confrontational style and quick wits against some of the sharpest minds in the business. The 2006 Traveling Virus Comedy Tour was a showcase for this Opie and Anthony comedy family. When it stopped in Camden, New Jersey, just across the Delaware River from Philadelphia, the lineup featured several of Burr's closest comedy peers. The venue was an outdoor amphitheater on a brutally hot summer day, with alcohol flowing freely and an increasingly hostile crowd. What happened that day would become a turning point in Burr's career. The Philadelphia crowd, already notorious for their hostility, turned especially vicious. Dom Irrera, a Philly native and veteran comic Burr had looked up to, struggled to win them over. Tracy Morgan, then at the height of his 30 Rock fame and known for commanding difficult rooms, gave up after just 7 minutes. Even Bob Saget, whose raunchy stand-up persona usually connected with rowdy crowds, couldn't break through. By the time Burr took the stage, the atmosphere was toxic. His fellow comedians backstage had already conceded defeat, with some even suggesting that they should end the show. But rather than follow their lead, Burr made a decision that separated him from his peers. He went on the offensive.
Oh, f*** all you people. You know what, you f***ing losers? I hope you all f***ing die, and I hope the f***ing Eagles never win the Super Bowl. Go f*** yourselves. F*** you motherfuckers, and f*** the Friars. F*** all of you.
As you can tell, he wasn't holding back.
Let's talk about heart disease, something you're all gonna f***ing die of, and I'm gonna laugh at your f***ing funerals. It's gonna be great. You're all gonna get f***ing cancer, which is fantastic, because all your f***ing heads are shaved anyways. No one's even gonna notice.
For nearly 12 straight minutes, Burr systematically dismantled everything Philadelphia held dear, hurling increasingly savage insults at the city, its culture, and its people.
Fucking Rocky is your hero. The whole pride of your city is built around a guy who doesn't even exist. You got fucking Joe Frazier is from there, but he's black, so you can't fucking deal with him. So you make a fucking statue for some 3 fucking Italian, you stupid Philly cheese eating jackasses. I hope that cheese melts your fucking faces off. All of you collectively suck a fucking dick.
At one point, a man in the crowd said something and Burr unleashed on him.
What's that, sir? What do you have to say, sir? Never passed the 8th grade. What brilliant shit are you gonna tell me, huh? Go back to the dock and go unload some shit. You fucking warehouse working, weed smoking, disappointment for your mother.
As angry as Burr sounded, he seemed to be taking pleasure in the whole thing.
7 minutes left. 7 motherfucking minutes left. And I'm doing all fucking 7.
Somehow, being ripped to shreds won the Philly crowd over, and their boos slowly turned to cheers. And by the time Burr ended his set, it was clear he'd earned their respect.
Listen, I'm out of time. You guys were here, man. Thank you very much. All of you go fuck yourselves.
This moment became comedy legend overnight, cementing Burr's reputation as a comedian who wouldn't back down from anything. While Burr doesn't go nuclear on everyone like he did in Philly, that same willingness to confront BS shows up across all his interactions. Just look at how quickly he shuts down reporters who try to trap him with loaded questions. During a press junket, when one interviewer tried to bait him with a question about women in comedy, Burr immediately recognized the setup and flipped it on its head.
Can women be funny?
Yeah, of course.
Some people have a hard time saying yes, though. There's a lot of angry young men on the internet that are like, women can't be fun.
Will you guys just fucking grow up and just sit down and write your own horse shit and come up with it? Start your own fucking show. Have your own award show. Quit waiting around for other people to do shit for you. That's the fucking problem. If you guys had your own big club and I was standing outside of it, you'd never fucking let me in. I'd start my own shit. You guys got to start your own shit. You got brains in there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So write your own shit and quit your fucking whining. We're all eating a giant shit sandwich out here. Nobody cares. I don't care.
Another confrontation occurred between him and the radio personality Southside Steve after their interview immediately got off to a shaky start.
Hey, this is Southside Steve, and this is Southside Steve TV, and this is Bill Burr.
That's your question?
I'm just saying who you are.
Oh, yeah, all right. I don't like you creep me out with that big microphone and that country western shirt.
Southside Steve took another wrong turn when he flippantly assumed that Burr would do a routine for them then and there.
Bill's a comedian. He's at the Punchline. He's in town, and you're a funny guy. You've got these routines in your head, so I figure I'll toss you a mic and you go.
And I'm going to do stand-up in front of 9 people in a radio station? No, I'm not doing that.
Well, you're taking the fun out of Southside Steve TV.
Steve went on to provoke Burr further by sticking his microphone in his face.
Do you like my mic?
No, I don't. I don't, please.
Is that comfortable? Is this uncomfortable?
This is, yeah, no, don't, man. Honestly. Can I take the mic?
Sure.
Now, that's the number one thing you don't do. As I learned that in broadcasting school, you never give up the microphone. See, now I have the power. This Bob Barker thing.
Yeah.
You're what is this? Rock 100.5. This is the worst interview I've ever done.
Beyond the lesser-known characters like Southside Steve, even high-profile intellectual figures fall victim to Burr's clever jabs. Bill Maher has been a fixture in political comedy for decades, hosting shows like Politically Incorrect and HBO's Real Time since the 90s. Known for his sharp political commentary and intellectual approach to comedy, Maher has built a brand on being a rational voice, willing to challenge both sides of the political spectrum. He and Burr have actually crossed paths many times over the years, with Burr making several appearances on Maher's TV shows. When Burr made an appearance on Maher's podcast last year, it didn't take long for their back and forth to start.
I think that might be the difference in our generations, which is not that, I mean, we're maybe like 13 years apart.
You're one of my elders, man. I respect you for that.
I feel like I'm in the Reagan Mandel debate.
No, I just
Now
remember when you
to,
did my podcast, you kept
Okay.
getting like, I'm not that
You know
much
what?
older than you.
And I'm not. And
Dude, 13 years is a long fucking time.
Well, I think the point I made then, and I'll remake it for you, is that to anyone young, trust me, when you're 25, you and I are the same.
Dude, if you and I are just like hanging out, talking, but if we go back far
And
enough.
You're a
if we
dad.
If we go back like.
That adds 10 years. You're married and a dad. See,
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You just hate kids.
I do, but like having never gotten married, not married, not kid, that definitely closes that gap. Anyway, the point being,
I don't like how you just made that point and then said anyway really quickly before I could refute it. Anyway, did you learn that in debating class?
I did.
Because you said anyway, I'm going to roll with that? No.
Well, I mean,
Unlike some of the other encounters we've looked at, you can tell these guys have a friendly rapport. But even though Maher was supposed to be the intellectual in the room, Burr never gave him an inch.
the 25-year-old is watching this going, look at these two old guys. They're not going, oh, the guy with the cigar is
Oh, I know
obviously
that.
13 years younger.
I know, but you have to go all the way down to 25 to appear my age. You can just see the way we dress.
I look good. That's the difference. Is that you were
do
wearing
look good.
You're wearing
You're not gonna
sneakers.
throw that in my
You got
face.
you got a t-shirt on. Like
You look like a fucking defendant. You look like you're trying to beat a drinking and driving charge. He doesn't have any priors, Your Honor. Look at him. He's wearing his Chelsea boots. He's a fucking, what do they call it? A productive member of society.
Later in the podcast, Maher started speaking Latin and using words Burr didn't understand, presumably to assert some control over the conversation. But it had the opposite effect because Burr just proceeded to make fun of him.
It's gauche. But yeah.
Here you go again with the big words. What does gauche mean? I've heard the word.
It means great in French.
Gauche? No, it doesn't. Magnifique.
Do you remember when you were on Real
Say
Time?
magnifique, monsieur. That's
You're in the highlight reel.
Super.
I
That's
know,
in vogue
I'm
for
a-
young kids to say the Beatles stink.
I can always talk Beatles, and yes, they always. One reason they are prima inter pares among rock gods is that they.
I've never heard all of those words. Was that 3 words? Was that 2 words?
That's Latin for first among equals.
Don't you save that for your parties when you're wearing your smoking jacket? I'll tell you, that Bill Maher is really smart. He is really well read. He just said prima paravardis.
Prima inter pares.
Inter pares.
You know what? I'm not the bad guy because I know more. Okay, can we just get
That's
that?
right. Don't
Can we
make me-
just
don't make me-
Chiron that?
exactly.
I'm not the bad guy because I know things. I apologize.
You should say, I'm sorry, I'm not stupid, Bill. That's what you should have said.
These exchanges with Maher showcase Burr's ability to level the playing field with anyone, regardless of their status or intellectual credentials. But as direct as Burr is about his opinions, there's one area where he draws a clear line: his personal life. Unlike most celebrities who share curated glimpses of their personal lives on social media, Burr keeps his private life strictly off limits. He barely uses social media, never posts about his family, and has zero interest in the world of celebrity culture. This commitment to privacy extends beyond just avoiding social media. It's evident in how he handles interviews as well. Burr immediately senses when someone's trying to pry into his personal life, often shutting down questions with sharp humor before they even fully develop. This quick defensive reflex was on display during an interview with Charlamagne Tha God, when a simple misunderstanding about someone Burr mentioned led to an awkward yet hilarious moment.
I've only met 2 people that had like a vibe like her in my life. And the first one was a dude. He was just, so that wasn't happening.
Wasn't he tight?
No, he was like, no, just walked in the room, you know, and you just knew the person was coming in the room. She has that vibe, right? So,
hold on, you gotta clear that up. I want to be clear about that. You didn't date the guy or nothing.
No.
I just want to make sure.
Is it the first one? When are black people gonna let go of this homophobia? You always gotta check. Like, what are you doing with your manicured eyebrows? Like, I'm fucking gonna sit here and act like you're all good over there. Like, you don't swing a leg over the fence every once in a while. Like, hey, wait a minute. Look, you got fucking sandals on and white socks. You look like you just came from a steam room.
This situation was pretty harmless, but radio personality Howie Mandel took boundary crossing to another level during Burr's recent appearance on his podcast. Without warning or prior discussion, Mandel orchestrated a surprise appearance by Burr's supposed half-brother, Billy Corgan.
And look who's here.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Sit down.
You're an asshole.
Billy Corgan. Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
I'm an asshole?
Yeah,
I thought this would be great to bring a family together.
He didn't tell you. He told me you were totally cool with me coming.
That's what he does.
So Billy Corgan was nice enough on my podcast to talk about the fact that he told a story that he had never told before, that his father traveled.
My stepmother said to me, "Do you know who Bill Burr is? Bill Burr might be one of the children that your father sired in his days on being a traveling musician."
If you do the math,
he was a piece of shit. And he had two kids this close together, and he named them the same fucking name. He thinks it's different because he's Billy and I'm Bill. Like, that's how he told the difference.
Well, I was Bill when I was young. But you're right.
This type of manufactured confrontation is a Howie Mandel specialty. He's developed a reputation for engineering uncomfortable moments to generate viral clips, like when he asked UFC President Dana White to walk off his show. In this case, Mandel had bombarded Corgan with texts claiming, "Bill will love it if you come, he's cool with it." But it was a lie designed solely to create drama. What makes it worse is that this encounter was the first time Burr ever met Corgan. As the awkward situation unfolded, Burr quickly realized exactly what was happening and called Howie out on his manipulative tactics.
Because that's the thing. He's bringing in here not because he's trying to heal the bullshit that we went through growing up. He's getting here just for the fucking ratings. So now what was supposed to happen? Are we going to go play catch? We're both in our 50s.
Burr was taking the whole thing in his stride, but it was obvious that the situation made him feel uncomfortable, and he made sure to let Howie know that he wasn't impressed.
I think we're on the same page, thinking that you're kind of a dick right now.
A few days later, he was asked about what happened on another show, and he insulted Howie and his shady behavior.
People want to know, were you really pissed?
Listen, I don't like talk about
your stuff.
Yeah, I don't. And so, like, Howie did what he did.
Yeah.
Because he is a Hollywood whore. And he doesn't care what happens, that he just didn't.
Okay.
You know, he could have said something and he just, you know,
just threw it
brings
out there.
up all that weirdness.
All things considered, Howie got off lightly given how invasive what he did was. We've seen Burr be a lot more punishing for far less, like the time he was interviewed by the YouTuber Ethan Klein. Ethan rose to fame in the mid-2010s through reaction videos and comedy sketches on his YouTube channel. His satirical humor and willingness to mock other content creators earned him millions of subscribers and a reputation as one of YouTube's most influential commentary channels. In 2017, he and his wife Ela started a podcast together, and in one of the early episodes of the show, they had Burr on. Ethan, being an inexperienced interviewer, was doing a very poor job as a host, constantly interrupting Burr and asking awkward, out-of-place questions. He got away with this for a while, but where he really messed up was when he started asking Burr about his family.
It seems like you're in love with your daughter, hearing you talk about her on the podcast.
Jesus Christ, well, you're pretty perceptive. It's like you care about your own child.
It got worse when Ethan asked about his father.
You gush over your daughter. Not everyone gushes. Did your dad gush over you?
I mean, I was too little. Yeah, no, my dad actually at work did. At work, that's when I learned, like, oh my God, yeah, he really likes us. But when he came home, yeah, he was cracking the whip. How's your bed mate? You do your studies? Well, why not? You know, that shit. And he also had a zillion kids, so I mean, yeah.
Really? How many siblings do you have?
I don't know, dude. The internet's too fucking weird to give out all that information.
Oh, you don't even want to say how many because you're afraid that it will
by all
compromise
means,
your
keep talking
privacy.
about it. Is there any way you can cut this out? I'm honest, dude. Like,
seriously?
Yeah, no, dude. There's fucking lunatics out there.
Okay. Well,
off the air, I'll tell you.
All right.
Jeez. I love how surprised he is. Jeez.
Well, you can mention the amount.
Absolutely crazy people.
Okay. Yeah.
The tension between them was undeniable at this point, and Burr's patience was wearing thin. Later on, Ethan asked him about the Philly incident, which is something Burr has spoken about 1,000,001 times, and you could tell from his response that he'd had enough.
This is one of the first times I heard about you. I was in college, I think, at the time. It was when you were getting booed by thousands of people
I was
in
hoping
Philly.
you were. I was like, when you said my favorite YouTube video, I was like, oh God, not the Philly thing again. And then you did the Sherry's Berries. I was like, I love this podcast. Now I hate you.
Oh no! I love. What can I do? I love that.
I'm joking. I'm fucking with you. Go ahead, let's do it.
But do you? But
bring a hat.
No, I'm not gonna ask you.
You've been booed before.
The aftermath of this episode was very messy. Ethan received a barrage of hate online for how he handled the interview, and he got in his own head so much that he started cancelling guest appearances for subsequent shows. He even began to question whether people liked his podcast at all.
It feels like nobody likes this podcast and everybody wants it to go away, but somebody likes it. I mean, people watch it, right? I mean, I have thought about quitting the podcast, honestly.
A lot.
Because it's been such a pain. It's been so painful at times.
He said that he'd started taking antidepressants because his mental health was all over the place, but it wasn't until a year later that he admitted why. In an episode of Theo podcast, he came clean about how that episode with Burr broke him.
I went into therapy after that episode. I'm not
Did you really?
I'm not even being kidding. I mean, I was having a depressive episode for a long time.
Right.
And I had these antidepressants next to my bed for a long time. And
you were taking them?
No, I hadn't decided to take them yet. I was hesitant.
Yeah.
And after that episode with Bill Burr, I came home, and that's when I started taking antidepressants, and I went to therapy.
Wow.
It was soul crushing.
Theo could relate more than most since he had his own rough podcast with Burr, but it was clear it hit Ethan a lot harder.
It felt like a rock bottom for me because I was having a hard time with the podcast and interviews in general, and that for me was just kind of like the culmination of a lot of stress.
Ethan's breakdown reveals the double-edged sword of Burr's approach. What seems entertaining from a distance can sometimes be damaging up close, but that's why he stands apart in today's comedy landscape. Burr has carried an unmatched authenticity throughout his career, and he doesn't discriminate in his targets. What's interesting is how little his success has changed him. Despite Netflix specials, sold-out arenas, and millions of podcast listeners, he remains the same guy who once told an entire city to go fuck themselves. He's never developed the veneer that typically comes with fame, and he's unapologetically himself in every interaction. Some label his style as brutal honesty, others call it being an arsehole. But in a world of carefully manufactured personas, maybe that's exactly what we need.